Hey everybody, welcome back to the channel. Let's talk about Venba. I actually discovered this game by pure accident. I came across it listed on Game Pass while I was supposed to be playing and reviewing something else. I downloaded it thinking I was getting something kind of akin to like Cooking Mama, and instead what I got was a wonderful 2-hour experience that made my wife cry 3 times in total. Before we get started, feel free to hit that subscribe button, hit the notification bell as well so you see my videos the moment they're posted. Alright, let's get started. Venba tells the story of Venba, a Tamil woman and her husband who have migrated to Canada during the 1980s in search of a new life, a fresh start, and gainful employment. The narrative is delivered in these small, digestible little snippets centered around cooking. Venba has the cookbook left behind by her Amma, but the ink and pages have weathered, leaving some recipes unreadable even to someone fluent in Tamil. Thankfully, through trial and error, you're given the chance to restore these authentic recipes. After completing these recipes, you get pulled into the story's narrative, and even get a chance to decide the responses. The conversations feel incredibly real and personal. We get to see the hopes and conflictions that ail these two newlyweds, from general worries to more pressing matters like finding employment to keep their work visas. One of these first cutscenes tells us that Venba is pregnant. A new narrative begins to set in about how raising a child in a new country serves as a potential hurdle to a first-generation family. Eventually, though, we're introduced to Kevin, and we get to see the family dynamic play out over time. These little snippets start to cover larger expanses of time, much like the space between Kevin and his family begins to grow. Like most kids, Kevin just wants to be normal, accepted by his peers, and not a standout for the wrong reasons. He begins to reject his formal name, his culture, and even his food at a very young age. Like most parents, they only want what's best for Kevin, even if at times it seems like a rejection of the family and maybe their culture. Venba does a great job of exploring both sides of this narrative, as it can be easy to portray Kevin as too progressive or the family as too conservative. Nobody is framed in an unfair light, and instead they're all given that gray area of morality that we all have, with the same convictions and conflictions that we might carry. We all have doubts, fears, worries, and oftentimes all we can do is hold fast to our beliefs in times of uncertainty. Time continues to advance. Kevin becomes his own person, and the narrative begins to follow him instead. Now an adult, Kevin is a writer like his father had hoped to be when coming to Canada. This time, writing for a show about diversity and multiculturalism. We begin to see what Kevin has dealt with his entire life. Even his friends tend to confuse his culture with general things from India. When his culture does get a second to shine, Kevin shies away from confrontation and even doubts his own knowledge, having pushed away his culture his whole life. He feels like a tourist no matter what culture he tries to embrace. These moments lead to Kevin discovering the partially restored cookbook, and just like his Amma, Kevin begins to cook. How food becomes the bridge between these two stories, I'll leave for you to discover. One thing I love about Venba is the subtle things it does without telling the player. If I said them all, I'd be spoiling so much and a lot of the big revelations of the story, so I'll just kind of keep it short. When Venba first started restoring the cookbook, she'd have all the ingredients laid out in front of her. Now that she's older, there is no cookbook. Ingredients show up in the exact amounts exactly when they're needed. Just like cooking, or really anything done through trial and error repetitiously, this has become a second language, and Venba has unwittingly taken over the mantle of her Amma. Venba is incredibly short. It is an absolute gem of an experience, don't get me wrong, and it does a great job of highlighting how food can be a vessel for love in one's culture. So I think everybody should play it. It's only going to take you about an hour to 2 hours to play it most. And as Thanksgiving approaches, a holiday centered around family and the preparation and consumption of food, that you take time to play Venba and appreciate the values its story has to offer. Maybe it'll encourage you to dust off some family cookbooks of your own, if you happen to have any. Maybe you'll start to view them with some newfound admiration. I definitely can't recommend this game enough. It really took me by surprise, and I wasn't really shocked to see it end so quickly. I was shocked to see my wife cry about 3 times while playing it, but I'll admit I was even choked up a couple times while playing it too. If you're a Game Pass player, congratulations. Just go download the game right now. You can play it right now. You don't even have to go buy it. For everyone else, it is available on Nintendo Switch, PlayStation 5, Windows, Xbox Series X. I already said that. Thank you guys so much for watching. Again, if you like this content, feel free to subscribe. I noticed about 98% of you that are watching are not subscribed. I would appreciate you if you just hit that little subscription button right there. And while we're at it, go ahead and hit that notification bell. That way you know when new content is posted. Thank you guys so much for watching. Call your folks. Have a great night.